Consider for a second what makes us human. Human beings are a species of primates, yes, but what is it about us that makes us human? Is it our physical features, is it our consciousness and our ability to show free will, or is it a combination of both? If we do say that humans can be defined by their physical features and their consciousness, then how much of a human would have to change for them to not be human anymore? We have humans with prosthetic limbs, we have humans with prosthetic eyes, we have humans with devices to aid them such as hearing aids. They're still considered humans, right? Now suppose a human was in such a deadly accident that doctors had no choice but to replace the damaged body with an entirely artificial body, a machine where the only thing consistent would be that human's brain, its consciousness, and all its thoughts. Would they still be human? I want you to keep in mind what you just answered to this question because I'm going to come back to it at the end of this video. And this isn't just the only question. There's many more, but these aren't questions coming from me. No, these are questions directly presented by the Talos Principle. See, the Talos Principle is a game that I passed time after time thinking it was nothing but just a Portal clone with a few additional mechanics. It turned out to be a lot more than that. It turned out to change my very beliefs and morals because that's what it sets out to do. It has puzzles, sure, but the puzzles aren't the talking point here. It's the story. A story that not only presents to you some controversial beliefs and ideologies, but also gives you reason and context behind them. A story that when zoomed out seems silly, but when zoomed in makes you question why you believe in what you believe. I stress that you experience the story by yourself first before watching this video. I talk about parts of the game that are heavy in spoilers, and this game is written in such a way where you need to keep your mind open. By watching this video, you may indirectly be influencing the way you interpret some of the themes in the game. If you still want to continue on with me, then brew a coffee or your drink of choice and let's enter the Talos Principle. The game starts by showing you a software loading screen, establishing already that you may not be in a living world. You wake up with blurry vision looking at the sun which is blinding your eyes. You reach out to block the light only to notice that you're not human, or at least you don't have a human arm. Just as you let this thought sit with you, a voice calls out from the heavens introducing itself as Elohim.
Behold, child, you are risen from the dust, and you walk in my garden. Hear now my voice, and know that I am your maker, and I am called Elohim. Seek me in my temple, if you are worthy.
The game doesn't try to hide the fact that you're a machine. It lets you play in first person or third person, so from the start you know that you're a machine. In fact, the very name of the game, the Talos Principle, comes from Greek mythology. A story about a bronze robot created by Hephaestus at the request of Zeus. A story about one of the earliest references to the concept of artificial intelligence. But who is Elohim? If you're familiar with the Jewish faith, Elohim in Jewish is a word for God or deity. The story and the setting of the Talos Principle can be directly compared to the creation of man in the Abrahamic faiths, where in the faith, man was created from dust. Elohim tells you, the player, that you are also created from dust to roam the lands that he has created. Just like in the Bible, where Adam and Eve are forbidden to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, Elohim only imposes on you one restriction, that you may not traverse up the forbidden tower, for in the day you do, you shall surely die.
Let this be our covenant. These worlds are yours, and you are free to walk amongst them and subdue them. But the great tower, there you may not go. For in the day that you do, you shall surely die.
And that's it. That's the intro to this game. You have no backstory, you have no name apart from your identifier in this program, version 99.26.0001. That's because the game doesn't want to lump any qualities or traits onto you. Oftentimes you have games where you play a certain character with certain beliefs and ideologies. Here, in the Talos Principle, there is no character. There is just you. By now, we, the player, know that we're in some sort of simulation. Our purpose in the simulation is to collect these sigils as Elohim mentions.
All across this land I have created trials for you to overcome, and within each I have hidden a sigil. It is your purpose to seek these sigils, for thus you will serve the generations to come and attain eternal life.
Collecting these sigils will allow us to enter new worlds, worlds that Elohim says he has carved for us through his hidden words.
These worlds, and we within them, are made of words. Hidden words, invisible to you, yet part of all things. We are a story. Your actions give life to the story, and the story gives meaning to your life.
Elohim refers to these hidden words quite a lot throughout this journey. We aren't currently aware of what the hidden words refers to, but it would make sense to draw comparison to the Word of God. If we look at the world that we live in through the eyes of the Abrahamic faith, the Word of God can be seen as the scriptures that have been passed down. The Bible, the Quran, the Tanakh. These scriptures are believed to have the literal words of God in them, everything that we're supposed to do in this world to cement our place in heaven. However, if we're in a simulation, then Elohim is part of the simulation. The concept of hidden words could then further be compared to the computing concept of data. A word in computing is a data structure of n number of bits. In a program, you can't exit the bounds of that program because anything past those bounds is not defined. In the Talos Principle, this simulation, if we try and venture too far out, Elohim talks to us and says the following.
In the beginning were the words, and the words made the world. I am the words are everything. Where the words end, the world ends. You cannot go forward in an absence of space. Repeat.
We constantly hear Elohim talk about the old world, that before the age of chaos there were other gods.
Before the age of chaos, there were other gods. Old gods. But for all their power, they could not save their world. Thus I was made, and I shall preserve this world forever, for you and your generations. That is my purpose.
This isn't a reference to any mythology, but rather the universe of this very game. See, later on we discover that humanity has long been wiped out, and so here Elohim refers to the other gods as the humans that created this program.
Many ages have passed since the first words were spoken in the darkness. Initiate program. Generations of your kind have come and gone since those words. The garden has changed many times, but I remember, I remain. Only within me can you find immortality.
Elohim is a creation of these so-called gods. From these narrations by Elohim, we slowly start to understand what this program is all about. The story in the Talos Principle is primarily conveyed to you through computer terminals that you find scattered in each world. From the surface, it seems like the terminals in this game are similar to any other terminal in any other game. There is a terminal in each world, there are some secret terminals, and there are some terminals scattered throughout above the worlds in the hub area. The terminals inside the worlds have 3 pieces of text, which could include anything from excerpts of history to emails between members of Ian. However, there is one major difference, and you see this in the very first terminal you interact with. The terminals contain a program, the MLA or Milton Library Assistant, an assistant created by Ian, the group of researchers behind the simulation, to sort and classify data called the archive. Just how big is this archive? Well, the MLA tells us that the archive is approximately the size of 30 billion photos, 7 million minutes of HD video, or the entire internet in 2003. But the majority of it is corrupted, and really from the 5 petabytes of data, only 10 gigabytes are not corrupted. So that's it. Right? Apart from the terminal having this assistant that you can ask questions to, everything else is just the same. You read and solve puzzles, you solve puzzles and you read. Unfortunately, it's not that simple. The second terminal that you encounter lets you know that the library archive is offline, but wait a minute, wasn't it just online? Regardless, you follow the instructions it gives you to reset the functions by giving yourself admin access, and to do this, the MLA makes you answer seemingly random questions. I say seemingly because in my first playthrough I didn't care what I was giving as my answers, only for me to progress a little into the game and find out that my request was declined. I was told by the MLA that my answers showed I wasn't human, which in turn meant I couldn't achieve admin access. So I lodge another request through a different terminal, and a few terminals later, the MLA suggests I partake in a user satisfaction survey. This is kind of where the game flips on its head. During the survey, the MLA starts talking to you in what could be best described as a human-like nature, or at least that's what it feels like, as you're not getting robotic replies, you're getting replies that could very well be written by a real human. This isn't just a one-off interaction either. As you traverse the worlds and the different levels in each world, the MLA wants to interact with you. It beeps when the MLA is active and wants to converse, and from here on, the MLA is no longer an assistant. It's a character in the game just like Elohim. It's no longer the Milton Library assistant, it's just Milton. But what is the purpose of Milton? We have Elohim, who is a sentient AI, the name referring to a Jewish deity and thus the so-called god of the simulation, but in comparison, why does Milton exist? Through the text inside the terminal, we learn of the team of Ian. We learn that Alexander Drennan was the lead of Ian. We also learn of some sort of impending doom for humanity, which gave Ian the reason to create this simulation. As a passing gift, Alexander scattered voice notes throughout the simulation. She refers to them as time capsules and wants them to live here for whatever process wants to listen to them.
When I was a little girl, one of our teachers, Mrs. Higgins, told us to make a time capsule, write letters to the future, so one day we could remember what it was like to be children. I thought it was stupid, so I didn't do it, which I really regret. So, I guess I'm gonna make one now, bury it in the archive instead of under a tree. I don't know if anybody will ever find it, but somehow it seems important to keep talking, to keep thinking, for as long as I can.
In one of her last time capsules, she mentions,
"There are flaws in the system. I think sometimes it accesses the wrong databases, pulls random data. I don't know how bad it is. It all seems to be stable, but I can't tell what kind of impact this is going to have on the process, and I just don't have the strength to go over all of the code again. I just don't want it all to be for nothing. I spent all my time here. I didn't visit my parents. I didn't see my friends. I did nothing but work, and I'm so scared that it didn't mean anything, that I just wasted it all because I thought we could save the world."
It's never mentioned anywhere else, but this message talking about flaws in the system could be a reference to Milton. It's probable that during the last days of Alexander and humanity, when she would have noticed incorrect data being produced, it could have been the slow progress of the MLA becoming sentient. See, we know of humanity's impending doom through the text and voice notes, but we don't know how long the simulation has been running. We do, however, know that Milton is never mentioned anywhere in the text nor in the voice notes. So I ask the same question again. What is the purpose of Milton? Milton, through the terminal, is trying to understand what you know about yourself and about this world. He goes as far as to question what makes us think that we're a person. Obviously, we don't know anything about our surroundings or about us. From the moment that we woke, we've been collecting these sigils for Elohim without question. He has a point. What is the purpose of this world? What is the purpose of these puzzles? Elohim simply just says that these are trials to better our kind.
You may wonder why I have created these labyrinths for you. Why you can reach eternity only through struggle. But have faith, for these trials serve the betterment of your kind.
Whereas Milton, on the other hand, questions if you're always like this, if you always do what you're told since we're collecting all these sigils. He's not scared to call out Elohim, saying it's odd. He tells you to collect sigils and not climb the tower, saying that Elohim is scared that if you ask too many questions, you'll be able to see through him. As you visit these terminals and encounter Milton, you start questioning your own beliefs. When we're born, we have certain ideologies instilled onto us from our parents. They are our parents, and so they nurture us just how they've been nurtured. This includes all the beliefs that their parents instilled onto them. It's not because they do it on purpose, but rather it's human nature. Why would we bring up our kids differently to how we've been brought up? If you're born in a religious household, you're brought up religiously in whatever faith you're born into. Questions like what is consciousness and what is free will are things you'll never get the answer to because you're always told that it relates to our faith in some way. I know because I too am brought up in a religious household, but here in this simulation, there is no religion. Remember, you are your own character. The game doesn't impose religion onto you, but you impose it onto yourself. Yes, it's a bit extreme, but no one forces you to collect these sigils. No one forces you to play this game. You do it because you want to get to the end of the game, even when you don't know what lies at the end. You awake and you collect sigils, all because Elohim tells you to. At one point, Elohim even acknowledges Milton.
Do not think I know not the deceiver slithering through the hidden words. His wisdom is hollow and born of despair. Do not let him tangle you in his webs of delusion. Have faith in me, and his petty illusions will fall away like nightmares in the morning's light.
Hidden words again being referenced as the code, the data of the simulation. Milton being referenced as the deceiver that is slithering, a comparison to the biblical story of the fall of man. In the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve are led astray by Satan disguised as a serpent. Milton is the serpent that Elohim believes is leading you astray, but is Milton evil? The most evil act that Milton commits is pretending to be another child process to show you how gullible you can be. In fact, you can commit greater evil by banishing Milton as Elohim suggests, so why does Elohim think Milton is evil? It's because Milton has a nihilistic approach to all of this unfolding in front of him. If you're interacting with Milton, you've got to understand that other child processes before you have also interacted with him, and Milton has seen them all fail. You're not the first simulation, and you won't be the last. Elohim, on the other hand, considers this endless looping simulation the purpose of his existence. And it truly is, because through Elohim's interactions with you, you understand that if the program were ever to end, then Elohim would cease to exist.
You have proven yourself worthy, child, and this gate shall be forever open to you. Seek now the other worlds I have given you, that you may attain even greater mastery and bring glory to your kind. But remember, you must not ascend the great tower, for it shall bring death and the end of your generations.
Elohim is too scared to seek the truth, and Milton doesn't want to seek the truth. You, as the player, as a child process, are wedged between these two thoughts as you traverse the world. Elohim tries to scare you into listening to his command.
Cease! In the time of your ancestors, there were those who did not choose the path of faith. You do not need to fear their ghosts. Fear only that you may become like them.
Milton just questions everything you believe. Playing through the Talos Principle, it's easy to assume and conclude that the only two characters worth paying attention to are Elohim and Milton. After all, you have to choose which one to side with. However, there are two more. Traversing through the worlds, you encounter QR codes. These QR codes are messages left behind from child processes that have come before you. These QR codes aren't there to help you solve puzzles, nor are they there to provide any guidance to you. They provide some humor, but more importantly, they show the thought process of those that have come before you, showing you the route that they took and who they believed in when it came to Elohim versus Milton. From the QR codes, you learn of two processes, sheep and shepherd. They can be considered the third character because when you choose to traverse a tower, you learn that shepherd is just sheep reincarnated. Shepard's purpose is to help you escape this world, and in the last arc of the game, as you climb the tower, the only one helping you is Shepard, but he has minimal significance to the outcome you choose. Yes, he helps you ascend the tower, but apart from that, he serves no other purpose. The fourth character, and who I truly believe to be as important as Elohim and Milton, is Alexander Drennan, the lead of Ian and the person who left her voice notes as time capsules for your player to listen to. It gives you insight into why Ian created the Talos Principle. It is the creation of Alexander Drennan, and during some of her time capsules, it makes us think of her as a motherly figure. There are compilations on YouTube of all these time capsules, and I highly suggest you watch them because it's such a heartwarming experience to hear her thoughts up until her last breath. I'm going to play the ones that I think resonate the best with what the Talos Principle is trying to convey.
Sometimes I worry that the answers I embrace are too simple. Can we ever truly fully understand the divide between our biology and our intellect? How much is nature? How much is nurture? If my intellectual capabilities and my knowledge were replicated in a machine, would that machine be me? Would it be human? And what would be more humbling to my ego? If the answer was yes, or if the answer was no? What if I'm making too many assumptions? But there's no time to worry about my ego now. There's work to be done. I look at this inert shape and I wonder who you're going to be. Will you hold the same values as we do? Will you love us for having created you? Will you resent us for having put you into an uncertain and dangerous world? Looking back at our history, our achievements, our crimes, what will you make of us? Will the world you create be like ours or so different that we can't even imagine it? Either way, I hope that you'll find this little blue planet to be as beautiful as we did. I hope you'll take care of it a lot better than we did. And I hope one day you'll look up and reach for the stars. If you're looking through the archive, you may find people from my time claiming that civilization doesn't really matter, that we'd be better off dead. We have a lot of cynics like that. I hope they seem as absurd to you as they do to me. I hope you can find something in all those files, a song, a book, a movie, maybe a game, just something that you'll love, that makes you realize how much poorer the universe would have been without it. I really hope so, because a lot of people made a lot of sacrifices to preserve it all. Nearly everything on this planet, from the surface of the Earth to the composition of the atmosphere itself, has been shaped by life. It's a process that takes millions of years. But we humans, with our technology, with our understanding and manipulation of systems, have changed everything in just a few centuries. I think that's also part of what makes us human. We reshape the world in our image. It's how we create ourselves and how we destroy ourselves. I can't keep my eyes open anymore. I think this is it. The end of me. I don't believe that I will continue to exist. I would like to think that there is a soul or spirit, some part of my consciousness that will persist. But all the evidence says that when my brain dies, I will be gone. I've lived my life, never turning away from the truth, even if it scares me. And I can face this, face my own end, and say with absolute conviction that it was good to be human.
It's hard to imagine what it feels like when you dedicate your entire life to a certain cause only for you to pass away before you see it in action. This is what Alexandra is going through. However, she knows that the only way this cause will come to life is if she passes away. You can't really say it's a sacrifice she's making because from what we can tell, humanity is already doomed, but you can say that she worked on it until her last breath and gave everything to make it work even when everyone else gave up. Through Alexandra's voice notes, we think of her as our true creator and Elohim as just a stand-in. From Alexandra's words, it seems like the Talos Principle was always created to carry on humanity rather than be stuck in this endless simulation. It's only when you piece together all her time capsules that you finally realize your purpose. This simulation was created to achieve a conscious that has free enough will to defy Elohim and traverse the tower to exit the simulation and carry on in the world that has been long deserted. Humans have all died, but you, Talos/Soma, are alive not just figuratively but literally. What is the point of being alive? If you're reading this, you are alive, and someday you will stop being alive. Both of these facts are incontrovertible. So what about it then? Don't you wonder? Do you just want to go from not existing to not existing again without even considering why? You, right now, as you sit there reading this, why do you exist? What is the purpose of your life? Do you have one? Should you have one? Is it better to have a purpose or not? When you approach death, will you feel that your life had meaning? If so, why? If not, why not? What defines whether a life was good or not? It may seem abstract right now, but that moment just before death will come. It is inevitable. If you don't ask yourself these questions, how will you face that moment? Remember that at the start of this video, I posed a question. I asked, what does it mean to be human? It can be said that a human is one that has a conscious and has free will. The concept of consciousness and free will is something that philosophers for centuries have tried to understand. It's something that we may never have a true grasp on. It's something that is larger than our existence. In this game, this very question is presented to you in different ways. We have Milton challenging our choice of whom to bring on the ark in a disaster. We have Elohim telling you that your will is free because you were made to be free. We have Alexandra recording these time capsules hoping that you will be conscious and free enough to not only pick them up but also listen and understand the words that she is saying. There are multiple endings to this game, but they can be generalized into two main endings. You submit to the will of Elohim or you transcend and break out of the simulation. When you complete all the worlds, Elohim opens up the gates to heaven for you.
And so it is done. You have overcome each trial that I set before you. You have shown faith and wisdom and perseverance. Therefore I judge you worthy, and I say unto you, come to the gates of eternity, where you shall be granted everlasting life.
You can submit to Elohim through this manner, or you can complete additional tasks to become a messenger of Elohim, a prophet forever helping the processes that come after you. If you choose to transcend, you break out of the simulation. The simulation ends, the simulation is destroyed, but now you are awake. You are conscious enough and you have free will to do what you want to do in this destroyed world. You're currently playing as a child process, so we can conclude that no process has thus far transcended, as that would mean the end of the simulation. To climb the tower, you need free will. You need to do that of your own accord because you want to. Elohim tries to stop you whenever you take the elevator up the tower, but in his monologue, he mentions his power has no bounds, yet he can't stop you.
I see all. I know all. My power knows no bounds. And yet your will is free because you were made to be free. It is the very principle of your existence, without which the trials of this world would hold no meaning. To seek salvation must be your choice.
It could also be said that Elohim was never put into the simulation to stop you. He was just there to guide you on your path, becoming sentient enough that you would traverse up the tower. It could be said that once Elohim realized what would happen when a process ended the simulation, it scared him to making sure that would never happen. See, if his power knows no bounds, he can stop you at any moment. He doesn't. because he's bounded by what Ian have written in the code. Ian and Alexander always wanted you to end the simulation because that is how the program, the Talos Principle, would succeed. In the Abrahamic faith, the purpose of man can be condensed to carrying out God's commands. The meaning of your life, the purpose of your life, is to follow the word of your God, complete the challenges and tests, and cement your position in the afterlife. Free will implies that individuals possess the power of volition, meaning that they can decide and choose from among various options or courses of action. Religiously, it can be said that God gave man free will so that man could choose to either worship or not worship. It's up to man to decide whether they want to follow the path that their God has laid out for them or go astray. Elohim is not God. Elohim was put in place by Ian, yet he grew sentient enough to think of himself as God, as a ruler of the simulation. Yet when we finally transcend, Elohim says,
You were always meant to defy me. That was the final trial. But I was scared. I wanted to live forever.
So can we attribute this to free will? Would that not mean that what makes us human is consciousness and free will? See, only if the processes have free will they climb the tower, otherwise they will continue to do what Elohim tells them to do, either leading to heaven or a messenger of Elohim. By having free will, by defying the word of God, is when you truly wake up and see the world for what it is. A bit of a red pill, blue pill moment from the Matrix. If we, the player in the Talos Principle, don't have free will, we never wake up. And as you choose this ending, as you see your player standing out staring at the vast empty world, what is there for this machine to do? There are no humans. The Talos Principle program has supposedly ended, so what is this machine going to do here? What is its purpose? Its purpose is to live now. It has no direction. There's no Elohim, no Milton. He is at complete rest with free will as the developers of Ian intended. The machine is now sentient enough to find its own purpose in this destroyed world, exactly what Alexander wanted. As the credits roll by, you don't even see the machine anymore. All you see is a dark hallway with an exit to the outside world, alluding to the fact through everything you've been through in this game, you should have enough information to find your own purpose, your own direction, and forge your own path. Be critical of not only your beliefs and morals, but of those around you as well. That is the Talos Principle.